So the India-South Africa ODI series might be done and dusted, but unfortunately, one thing which we kept talking about during that particular series has come back to haunt India. We kept talking about over rates being not ideal. I know it wasn't that much of a conversation because we were focused on stuff like due, but the over rates were definitely a factor that had to be checked in because if you remember, there were quite a few occasions when both India and South Africa ended up having to keep an extra fielder out in the infield or in the outfield rather, because you were not in touch with your over rate. And now we're getting to know, this is breaking news, that India have in fact been hit with a 10% fine for their in the match fees for maintaining a slow over rate against South Africa in the second ODI of the series, which took place in Raipur on December 3rd. Remember, that was a match that India ended up losing, and it was one that basically gave South Africa a chance of potentially winning the series because you'd won the first game. Obviously, that didn't happen. But a 10% fine of the match fee for maintaining a slow over rate has in fact been given. In fact, it was Richie Richardson of the ICC panel who basically imposed the sanction after it was found that KL Rahul's side were 2 overs short of the target after time allowances were taken into consideration. Now, it is worth remembering that you do get time allowances for delays or wickets or other such things which take place, which aren't normally factored into the usual time. Now, factoring all of those, India was still 2 overs behind what was expected to be their target time. So, all of that done and dusted, they were behind, so hence the 10% fee. Now, this is, of course, in accordance with Article 2.2 or 2.22 of the ICC Code of Conduct for players and player support personnel, which is basically given for, which relates to minimum over offences. Now, essentially, players are fined 5% of their match fee for every over that their side fails to bowl in the allotted time because there were 2 overs that were missed out. India ended up getting hit with a 10% fine for this particular offence. Rahul, of course, ended up pleading guilty, and so there was no need for a formal hearing. But of course, not a major blow in that sense. It could be worse. It could have been coming towards you, say, for instance, in a test match where the penalty is usually not just financial but also includes docking your World Test Championship points. But again, hardly ideal considering that over rates continue to be a problem really when we're talking about cricket as a whole, and when we talk about packaging the sport for the masses. One of the few things you don't want to be doing is ensuring that you're going over your allotted time. ODIs may have been a short format when it first came about, but even nowadays, the length of it is something that is being debated an awful lot. And so, in that time period, if you're unable to keep a tab on your over rates, and unfortunately, that's something that needs to be tackled. And so, in a way, it's a good thing that they ended up catching that fine. So, there we go. That is the breaking news update for you guys. Thank you guys so much for joining us. As always, don't forget, like, share, subscribe, tap that bell icon. Follow us on social media too. We're on Instagram, X, and Facebook. And stay tuned for more such updates from the world of sport.